Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central. I am Benga Aborowa. This is the show where we bring you all the news updates and insightful analysis on the biggest stories happening in the country. You've made one very important decision this morning, and that's tuning in to DSTV channel 42 Breakfast Central to listen to us this morning. Quite a very interesting 24 hours news cycle. I'm sure all the newspapers missed it. Breaking news, we got the information in the night. I'm sure a lot of the newspapers must have gone to press then that the Defense Minister, Mohammed Badaru, has tendered his resignation to the President, effective 1st of December. That was yesterday, and he said it was doing so because of health reasons. But then journalists put two and two together because the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, General C.G. Musa, retired, was in the villa. So they're probably thinking that, he could be the next defense minister, but we're not going to preempt any moves. We wait and see what happens. My co-anchors, yes, I'm sure you're wondering, why is this guy talking alone? I don't normally fly solo, but because of reasons beyond our control. Joe Hansen has been in traffic since the early hours of this morning, 4:45 a.m. Sent a message to the group saying he was stuck in traffic. Lagos State government, we don't know what is going on with the repair works around the Lekki-Ajah axis. It's causing a lot of discomfort. I do understand that you need to fix the roads. The Lagos State government did send a circular that they're going to suspend road repairs until a future date, but they don't seem to even follow their own circular. So we have to look into it and find a way to make life better for those who live on that axis, because time is money and they're losing a lot of man hours in traffic, productive hours that could be used to better their lives instead of just sitting in traffic for hours. Lagos State needs to make a decisive move on that. Having said that, there's also some more breaking news happening that happened in the course of the night. Yes, PDP governor, another one bites the dust. I'm talking about Senator Ademola Adeleke. He has tendered his resignation from the People's Democratic Party. He hasn't decided what party he will be moving to, so we'll wait and see as we inch towards the gubernatorial elections in Osun State 2026. Remember, Osun State is an off-cycle election, the gubernatorial elections there. So, okay, let's now begin business, the business of the day, as we do here on Breakfast Central with Wake Up Conversations. In a decisive move to reallocate police manpower towards core security duties, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu issued an executive order on November the 30th, 2025, mandated the withdrawal of police escorts and from private individuals and non-essential VIPs. The Nigerian police force wasted no time launching a full-scale crackdown the very next day, with Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun instructing all commands and specialized units to arrest any officer found flouting the directive. The Presidency has also called on citizens to actively monitor and report violations, encouraging the public to document instances of unauthorized escorts using photos or videos, while certain government officials will retain protection due to the sensitive nature of their roles. The policy marks a significant shift in prioritizing national security over privilege. Enforcement is already in motion, and early signs suggest the administration is serious about seeing this through. Well, let's take a listen to the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun.
The recent presidential directive on the withdrawal of police personnel deployed for VIP protection is a strategic and deliberate realignment of our national policing priorities. This policy decision is rooted not in sentiment, but in necessity, reflecting the current security demands of our nation and reinforcing the fundamental purpose for which the police force exists: the protection of our people, the defense of our communities, and the safeguarding of public order. It's important to emphasize that this action is a patriotic, forward-looking, and operationally prudent measure designed to strengthen our manpower capacity for critical frontline policing functions. With the security environment placing increasing pressure on unprotected populations and vulnerable communities, and in this regard, we wish to assure members of the public that this withdrawal will enable the force to expand deployment into areas where policing input has the most meaningful public safety outcomes. These include, but are not limited to, large-scale population protection operations, rural and township security fortification, intensified police feasibility and patrol spread, investigative response expansion, and tactical containment of emerging violent threats. Simply put, this policy ensures that more officers are repositioned from personalized security duties to collective public protection responsibilities, where their acts are most urgently required. However, while we move decisively to implement this directive, we must also act responsibly to manage its execution. We are mindful of the risk of misinterpretation, misinformation, and exploitation by undesirable elements who may seek to capitalize on the situation for personal or political advantage, or attempt to create narratives that undermine public confidence. To guard against...
There you have it, the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, reiterating the withdrawal of VIP police from escort duties to core policing functions. He also mentioned the vast ungoverned spaces and under-police spaces where this manpower will be deployed to. And also, just to reiterate that this is not the first time we're hearing Inspector Generals of Police withdraw security escorts from VIPs in Nigeria. It's happened in the past, in the tenure of previous Inspector Generals of Police. But this time around, things seem to be different because we're seeing compliance with enforcement. The last time the IG spoke, he spoke about 11,000 policemen as a result of this have been withdrawn from VIPs that they were performing escort duties from. And I can share a personal story that there's a businessman somewhere that I know, and typically you see 5 to 6 policemen in front of his house guarding the premises. And last week I didn't see any of these policemen there. So it speaks to the fact that there might be serious compliance with this. And I must say that this is the first time Mr. President is wading in on this. And typically, the Inspector Generals of Police make this an announcement, and we wait to see whether there will be compliance or not. But now, at this critical stage in our nation, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has also waded in and shared his thoughts on the withdrawal of VIP police. Let's take a look at the President's tweet on this matter. In a State House press release by the Senior Special Advisor to Mr. President, Mr. Bayo, he says Tinubu orders the withdrawal of police officers guarding VIP for core police duties. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has ordered the withdrawal of police officers currently providing security for very important persons in the country. Henceforth, police authorities will deploy them to concentrate on their core police duties. The presidential directive was issued at the security meeting President Tinubu held on Sunday with the Police, Air Force, Army Chiefs and Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, in Abuja. According to the presidential directive, VIPs who want protection will now request well-armed personnel from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. Many parts of Nigeria, especially remote areas, have few policemen at their stations, thus make the task of protecting and defending the people difficult. In view of the current security challenges facing the country, President Tinubu is desirous of boosting police presence in all communities. Already, President Tinubu has approved the recruitment of 30,000 additional police officers. The federal government is also collaborating with the states to upgrade police training facilities nationwide. Sunday's meeting was attended by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Kevin Aneke, the Inspector General of Police, Kade Betoko, and the Director General of the Department of State Services, Tosin Adiola Ajayi, signed a special advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. So there you have it. And Nigerians are questioning if what's the point if you're withdrawing police escorts for VIP duties and you're replacing them with well-armed NSCDC officers? Why can't those well-armed NSCD officers be deployed to communities that lack security, vulnerable communities and ungoverned spaces to protect the people? After all, the ordinary Nigerians should come first in terms of priority because they are more in number. So are you not robbing Peter to pay Paul if you use this NSCDC officials? But let's go ahead and listen to what the Nigerians are saying this morning on X. Princeton says, my friend, who is not even a politician, traveled to the airport yesterday with 6 officers. Wow. Says it's laughable. You'd be joking if you thought it would be accepted in a classist state like Nigeria, where reputation is judged solely by the possessions and offerings rather than actions, says Princeton. Olatunji Ijaware says the fact still remains that the police are always available for hire, and it's so disheartening that the police who are supposed to be the masses, who are supposed to be for the masses, are used as a mercenary for hire, even when their salary is being paid by the taxpayers. Nigeria needs serious restructuring. The directive, Mr. George says, the directive sounds bold on paper, but the real test is in implementation. Will the same VIPs who demand escorts suddenly comply, or will it become another selective enforcement exercise until we see top officials moving without long convoys and armed guards? It's hard to believe anything has truly changed. This is Nigeria, says Mr. George. And let's take another message from Demo 3. It says, as a Nigerian youth, if you don't have any paying job or occupation, go and train yourself and register as a vigilante or bouncer. Politicians will need you most these days. Interesting and very hilarious tweets there. Billions 1430 says, police to arrest police care. I never see Tinubu government, don't confuse. He says, billions 1430. And we have Jabani here. Jabani says, is this a good idea though? Aren't those cops getting better pay from those they're attached to? Okay. Food for thoughts. Sports Aproko says, if this is enforced properly, it will finally redirect manpower back to real security work. Okay. I guess that's all we have on what Nigerians are saying, but yes, finally. And we thank God and also the Lagos State government. My co-pilot is here.
What did you have to say? We thank God. It's crazy, Bega. I mean, I was doing possibly like 120 on the highway just to get here. It's crazy. I was watching while coming, and then you made a statement that the governor had, through the commissioner, put out a circular that there wouldn't be repair works. And unfortunately, the repair works have continued.
And it's causing
the gridlock is crazy. If you're to speak to anyone who lives along this axis, when they tell you what they're going through daily. Yesterday, as at 12 or 1 o'clock, let me say about between 1 and 1:30, it was chaotic. That entire axis was blocked, and it's a whole stretch. It's not just from a particular place to a particular place. It doesn't matter as long as you live around that second toll gate area, of course, all the way down up until you get to Ikate. So that's a long stretch of traffic. I feel for those who may have to go for an emergency, it's a problem.
School routes.
the children, I saw the school children this morning, painful. Parents are trying to wake up very early. And the exams, some schools have started their examinations. You know, this is just, like I keep saying, I use the word sense, not the derogatory term, but of course in a human angle, that it's just common sense. If you're going to fix the roads, you need to preempt the people. Let them know that, listen, this will happen, which is what you did. And then people raised eyebrows and said, it's not going to work because of the timing.
And then you reacted to that by putting out a statement
exactly.
saying, look, this is going to
We're going to postpone it. And then all of a sudden, you still track back. Just go ahead and do what you have to do. You do not care whether people have planned their lives, their movement. My good friend, Osi Dirisu, they put out a statement on X while I was in traffic, and I saw the post. He said, for those who have Airbnb, and your Airbnb is beyond Lekki Phase 1, sorry, don't expect anything between now and until that road is done. And we do not know when they will finish. Quite frankly, this
because there are business implications. It's disheartening. What is most disheartening is they release a communication. It wasn't forged by the Lagos State government saying that the repair works will be postponed. And we thought we had a listening government. They did this because of the uproar and the feedback they got from people, only for them to, just damn the consequences, damn what the people are saying, and let's go ahead with this repair works. You spoke about emergencies. You spoke about school children. Time is money. We need to understand the value of time and money. And it's absolutely heartbreaking that the government doesn't seem to really care about people. Very
heartbreaking. But good enough. I mean, you did run through the stories. Very interesting times for Nigeria's security architecture. The quick switch, seeing one who just left office, and then he was spotted at the presidential villa yesterday, meeting with the president.
Can you put
it's no coincidence. Together? It's no coincidence.
So it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. And I must say this. I think General Musa
will make a fantastic.
Will make a fantastic, minister. And I'll tell you why. Remember, we had that conversation here with an in-house guest who comes regularly, Theophilus Akatuba, who said it doesn't matter whoever you put as your security.
I don't think so. That you can't put square pegs around.
Exactly, that what matters does not. And I kept telling them, and I remember we all said that. You mentioned that, Olive was here as well. And we told him, it does. We are presenters, we're broadcasters, we have a journalistic background. You cannot, because for the love of, I just love to be on TV to talk. You cannot just go by the roadside and pick
and even when you pick somebody that doesn't have a journalism background, they go through rigorous training. And after so many years, that's when you hone your skills and you can say, okay, yes, we can throw this person on TV.
Absolutely. We weren't like this. We were refined. We had to pass through the fire
to get to this level. Civilians. Look at Mr. Badaru, for example. Okay, he's the chief security officer of the state. He's interacted. He's had security meetings of Jigawa State. He was the governor, two-term governor. But on the bigger scale of it, what military background does he have?
Even the man sitting next to him. Even the man sitting next to him as well. Talk about
the Minister of State for Defense. Exactly. But the substantive minister and the Minister of State have absolutely no defense or security background. They will be learning on the job in a critical time like this in our country. I think it was, you don't play politics with some portfolios. No. We should have gone for security experts in the first place.
Well, don't forget that Nigerians have raised eyebrows that this seemingly or in certain case of insecurity, which is starting to cover almost the entire zones in Nigeria, is looking pretty much like politicking. So it's high time that the president sits up, and that's exactly what the president has done. Whether we like it or not, it may come as a form of, okay, let's send a letter out. According to the statement, his letter was based on the fact that his health reasons and so on. But then again, if you look at it, it's high time the president gets this matter sorted once and for all. And we're still going to track back to the United States of America, which we want to say, whether we like it or not, thank you to the president, Donald Trump.
Yes, made them sit
thank you.
And forget 2027 for a bit.
Yes, because what this has done is it has started to affect every fabric of the insecurity issue. Whether it's a dose, now we're starting to see a mixture holistically. And I think it's high time when something doesn't work. They say if it's working, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. But this one, it is completely broken. Therefore, you need to fix it. And General Musa, right before his tenure had, finished, came to a conclusion. He did make some very key points. In his interview on Al Jazeera, he made very, very strong points. He also was part of the people who agreed that, listen, we need to approach this issue the best way possible. There was an event in which he spoke. In that event, he told the armies, he told the soldiers who were there, and said, listen, you know when to shoot. If your life is at stake, make sure you shoot. Now, that's quite different from what we're hearing from the other soldiers who say when they release bullets, they have to account for the bullets. When the cartridges are finished, then that's all for them. But he was quite different. So,
and it was a media-friendly CDS.
Absolutely.
Yes, he was happy to do interviews.
Absolutely. So we're not saying that, we're expecting a turnaround miracle. Well, if that comes, I'm sure Nigerians will be so super happy. But at this point, Nigerians are actually looking for the best.
And we're still, it hasn't been appointed. Let's wait and see. But it's almost, it looks like a done deal. But I'm not Nostradamus.
So we don't wait when it comes to issues like this.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not.
Because what was he doing in the villa? Did he go to wish the president compliments of the season?
Okay, wait. There's another angle to it. Let's look at it from this way. Is he also going to be on the next ambassadorial list? Because we're expecting about 109 or 102 or so. So far, we have about 35. So maybe he's going to make the next cut as an ambassador. Is he? Does he have the diplomatic?
I wouldn't think in that way. Yeah.
Anyway, 30. That's all that we're going to say. We're just going to look at it from that aspect. But then again, that's the latest story, and that's what we're going to take a look at. Well, Benga. Yeah. It's been a tough morning, I must say. And to all those who are joining us, please feel free to drop a comment or two. I'm sure we have a lot to talk about. Governor Adeleke.
Absolutely. And all these things happened after 6 p.m. So I wonder if people are politicking at night. What's really going on? Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But let's take reactions from Nigerians on X with regards to this development.
The truth shall manifest. Badaru is hale and hearty. His open clash with the junior Minister of Defense, Matawale, and the upper hand Matawale has in and around the villa is frustrating enough for him to resign. Sickness being his reason for resigning is untruthful, dishonest, diversionary, and an afterthought. I
find this very fascinating. Can we go back to that tweet from Marty Shehu? I wonder where he's getting all those insights from. The former defense minister said he's sick. Is it your sickness? He says he's hale and hearty. And did you hear about this clash with the junior minister?
I never heard of that.
But the way the Minister of State for Defense carried himself, Matawale, you would think he's the substantive minister and not the Minister of State.
But remember that
I also think, that I don't know if you're reshuffling
let's take more
the
tweets,
cabinet.
Let's take more tweets. You can react after we're done with the tweets because of time. Adebanji says, whether he is stepping down willingly or due to mounting pressure or health grounds, the truth remains that his resignation was long overdue. He has done his part, but the situation of the country has become extremely frightening. Insecurity is eating deep into our nation. Lives are being lost daily and Nigerians are living in constant fear. At this point, we don't just need titles. We need leaders who are ready to take decisive action, restore stability and protect the people. May this resignation mark the beginning of real change. Nigeria cannot continue like this. That's what Adebanji says. Engineer Shaibu says, after 7 months of daily abductions, bandit weddings and Boko Haram collecting taxes in Sokoto, Badaru has finally resigned on health grounds. Which health exactly? The one that suddenly appeared after Nigerians started asking why a defense minister spends more time in Jigawa commissioning boreholes than visiting troops dying in Sambisa. Next, please. Who's resigning tomorrow? Lai Mohammed's replacement? Ooh, wow. You know who he's talking about. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. Let's take this tweet. If accountability truly means something, then Nuri Badu, Bello Matawale, and every official who has watched insecurity spread like wildfire should be next in line. Their failure aren't abstract. They are measured in lives lost and communities shattered. A resignation is injustice. It's the smallest step toward it. Real responsibility means stepping aside with the humility to let stronger hands and clearer minds rebuild the trust they've squandered. That's coming from...
and many analysts have echoed this same sentiments by Bobby there, saying that we just saw a reshuffle of service chiefs.
Yeah.
And if you're going to change services, why not change the entire security apparatus and architecture by removing the National Security Advisor and the defense ministers? Yeah. Anyway,
they're complete rumors here and there, but we'll take them one after the other. And the big one right now is that someone was spotted in the villa. Someone has resigned on the grounds of health issues, and there's also a switch in terms of political party, and Nigerians are still calling for help because the insecurity challenges is still very much alert and alive, rather. But let's finalize things on Wake Up Conversations with our final story. A Catholic priest in Cross River State, Reverend Father Onabe Thomas, has raised an alarm after spotting suspected terrorists near a local school, prompting swift security action. A report is seeing unfamiliar individuals behaving suspiciously around the school premises, which led to an immediate response from law enforcement. Security personnel have since been deployed to the area, and the school has been placed on high alert. While no incident has occurred, authorities are investigating the threat, and residents have been urged to remain vigilant. Let's take a look at the video.
Well, we are live here at Ijibo. As you can see, we are at Ijibo. There's a lot of pandemonium here because the Fulani men were seen this morning very close to our primary school. You can see the primary school. This is the place, the little bush behind here that they were caught with guns. Heavy armed Fulani men. This is an eyewitness. One of my church leader, the leader of the charismatic. Please, can you say something to the camera? What did you really see?
We saw Fulani heavily vested with bullet, wearing loaded, with heavy guns. Heavy guns.
And you saw them camping there?
Camping just here.
A very close bush to the primary school.
So when we raise alarm, as I begin to run toward this, passing through this primary school, so in between the Sikuse and primary, they ran to this place. And they begin to run.
Just this morning of the first day of December.
It's less than 30 minutes from where.
And you can see that the whole school is ghost silent. We have closed the school. Everywhere is absolutely empty now because of the situation. I was just called. I have to run from the Paris Center and come to one of my stations, Ijibo, roadside. And this is happening live. We need help. We need help. We are seriously in danger here because we know that the Fulani camps between us here and the army barracks. There is a thick forest between Ijibo and the army barracks. And most.
I mean, the good thing is there's a thick forest between the school, Ijibo, and then the army barracks. And the good news is there's an army barracks.
Yeah, they can always call for help.
They not just help. They just need to take action immediately, decisive action, and clear that area immediately. If it means cutting down the trees, the bushes or something, I'm sorry, we're not saying the felling of trees is encouraged.
No, but I mean, look at that primary school environment. There's so many bushes there, and I mean, for snakes and reptiles, you also need to clear the surrounding areas. This doesn't look like a place for learning.
These are the security
vigilante, local security
who showed up. Aside that, Benga, this also goes to certify the statement the president made in his press release a few days ago, where he mentioned that please, no schools or boarding schools should be far away from the urban areas where people live, or even from city centers. And I agree with that completely.
Because they become very easy targets.
Yes, because look at that school, look at the building, just right in the middle of where you have the forest and so on and the bushes. So what it means is they could pick the children or anyone and then take them in. And the big question nobody is asking is, why is this spread happening so quickly?
Across every corner of the country.
Remember, we had drawn the map and we didn't mention Cross River because Cross River at that point in time seemed safe. We heard rumors of Port Harcourt and how it was truncated. But now, you know, Port Harcourt, south, not far off, Cross River,
so the entire
so
country is on the edge with regards to insecurity.
Yeah,
but hopefully, with this movement in terms of the security architecture, we begin to see a difference. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we're going to bring to you on Wake Up Conversations. Don't forget to drop a comment or two. Let's bring to you our top stories for today on Breakfast Central. Our top stories for today. President Tinubu vows to hunt down enemies of the state. That's speaking on national issues. We'll also be assessing the ambassadorial nominees' qualification. There's a lot of stories that have, unfolded, and we'll also look at that. Osun governor allegedly declines a party bid, and stories of him departing, leaving the PDP. Nigerian police women at 70. What does that mean? Well, we'll look at how that affects the Nigerian police force, what it means as well. And the newspaper front pages at 9 a.m. You can be part of it. Stay here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recently submitted a fresh list of 32 ambassadorial nominees to the Senate for confirmation, comprising 15 career diplomats and 17 non-career appointees, while some hailed the list as a strategic blend of experience and intellect. Others, including former diplomats, have raised serious concerns about the integrity and competence of certain nominees. Ambassador Joe Keshi even suggested that some on the list need to be cooling their heels behind bars. Now, join us to unpack the legal, ethical, and national implications of this appointment is a former chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association Abuja branch, who is also a partner at Truman Rockwood Solicitors, Mr. Folarinwa Aluko. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Aluko, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.
Now, my first question is, what's your assessment of the 32-man list that was sent by the President to the Senate? How do you, what's your take on it?
So from a legal point of view, that's a fantastic question. Great way to start the conversation. I think the primary issue that we have here, and I think this is one of the things that has caused a lot of the ruckus, with regards to the list, stems from one of the biggest, what I would consider to be one of the biggest challenges with the presidency. And that would be the fact that we operate the American presidential system, right? On top of what you consider to be a British parliamentary style civil service, and these two systems are very different. They have checks and balances that operate very differently, and the organs and functions of these systems operate in very, very different ways. So looking at the list from a legal point of view, 471, sub 1 of the Constitution grants the President the power to appoint ambassadors, principal secretaries, grants the President a wide range of powers. So to that extent, in terms of the legality of the decision to nominate these persons, I would say that the President does have the power. And this really stems from the fact that, using the American presidential system as a framework, we see that the President is the primary spokesperson of the country. And the idea of the philosophy is that because the President is elected in an election, then whatever ideals, principles, and philosophies that the President shares, are held by the majority of the people. And so I would say that the ambassadorial list actually should be a telltale sign of the vision of the President with regards to Nigeria's foreign policy. And I think that is a very critical part of the conversation that is being left out, from the public square. That our ambassadorial list, is an outward-facing list. This conversation is outward-facing and not inward-facing, in terms of policy. So if we're scrutinizing the list, we should be looking at how fit these persons are with regards to the task of managing Nigeria's image in the various countries that they'll be assigned to. So I think that's where the real challenge comes, and I'm sure we'll go into some of the deeper issues, in the conversation. But I would say that one of the features of the American presidential system is that because the appointment of ambassadors and diplomats is pretty much done at the behest of the President, you find that it is often used as a means to further political and his personal interest. So you find that in the American system, you find that at the moment they run a two-party system, which is very deeply political and deeply divided along ideological lines. So you find when a president appoints any person to any position, it is somewhat representative of their ideological beliefs, and Trump plays it out very clearly in the American battleground. So we see that translates here to Nigeria. My only challenge is that, number one, from the point of view of an ideological framework, it is pretty much difficult to decipher what the ideological framework of Nigerian leadership has been, perhaps for the last maybe 20, 30 years. It's been very, very difficult. And you would agree with me, and I'm sure most Nigerians would agree with me, that in terms of our foreign policy objectives and our foreign, our image, Nigeria's image in the committee of, among the Committee of Nations, Nigeria has had a diminishing, continued to play a diminishing role, and so that does raise significant concerns for me, and I think it should also for many Nigerians.
Okay. Let's also look at this. I mean, the legal implication that I would love for us to touch on will be on the aspect of looking at some of the names who definitely will be presented before the Senate. We do understand that these names must go through security check. The Assembly will have to do a due diligence on these names. And then also we hear that even after these names have been approved, the countries in which they will be sent will also have to do their own due diligence as well. I know this is a clear conversation that many have had. And should, in case the countries that these nominees have been sent to hereby or therefore reject them, is that possible? Is that possible that countries can say, oh no, because of certain records of this individual, we cannot allow this person to sit here as an ambassador representing or as an envoy of your country in our territory? Is that possible?
Yes, it is very possible, and we have many recent examples of this happening. I recall watching very recently. I forget the name of the country now, but you had President Trump speaking to the president of another country whose ambassador had openly campaigned for his opponent for in the last election, and had campaigned very vigorously on social media against President Trump. I think it's Australia, if I'm correct. And so the work or the job of an ambassador really is to represent a country in another country, and that representation involves, there's a lot of, it's public relations, it is ensuring that you have a cordial and reciprocally cordial relationship, with this country. So in international law, you think of it as a principle of what you may call the corollary of the contract, doctrine of contract of offer and acceptance. Because the receiving country must accept this person as an ambassador, and the status of ambassador comes with significant. Well, in Nigeria, we consider them to be perks, but it does come with significant responsibilities and privileges as well. So the receiving country or the host country does have the right to conduct their own security checks on whoever would be appointed or whoever has been appointed as an ambassador, and decide upon, decide whether they can work with this person. And it does show, it will definitely show a possibility of failure if there's a challenge to the nomination of ambassador, by any country. So once those signs become obvious and visible, clearly that ambassador will have challenges working in that country.
Okay. Now, Mr. Adeleke, let's look at the intersection between morality and legality, and that brings me to this question. One of the names that has raised a lot of eyebrows and elicited comments is the appointment of the immediate past chairman of INEC, in the person of Professor Mahmood Yakub, who superintended over the elections of Mr. President. Some analysts see it as, blurring the lines. They see it as a quid pro quo deal. That, okay, you superintended my elections, I got elected as president, okay, here's your reward. Or are we making a mountain out of a molehill? Some have said morally it's wrong and sends a bad signal about our democracy. And others said, what's the big deal? He's qualified, he's finished his tenure as INEC chairman. As INEC chairman, he worked with commissioners and he didn't run the show alone. How do you respond to commentary on the appointment of Professor Mahmood Yakub?
Fantastic question again. Professor Mahmood Yakub is, one of several names that have really thrown up significant concerns. In my opinion, I think two things can be true at the same time. I think that, it is often said that the reward for hard work is more work. So you in any system or any organization, you want to ensure that people who perform creditably well, have the opportunity to also do the same thing, have more opportunities to perform creditably well. The question, and I think the reason why there are questions around the former INEC chairman's nomination center really around the outcome of the last national election, and the role that the then INEC chairman played in that election, particularly with regards to the various checks and balances within the electoral process. And I would say that to a very large extent, yes, when you look at the procedure for nominating ambassadors, even in the US, because our political system is based on the US president. So even in the US, there are concerns about nepotism, about the use of this presidential power, presidential discretion, to reward political allies. And those concerns are valid. The person may be credible, but the concerns are valid and they must be aired, because at the end of the day, these persons are being represented, are nominated to represent Nigeria. The only challenge that we may have with this line is that, number one, there are concerns that the nomination should go through Senate scrutiny, and at the moment, it is rather doubtful, if you were to gauge the public temperature. And this is now the moral component or the ethical component of this competition. It is doubtful as to the extent to which the Senate can actually provide a thorough and people-centered review or scrutiny of the list. And back to Professor Mahmood Yakub, in my opinion, Nigerians have clearly issued a scorecard to President Mahmood Yakub, and you find that this scorecard is widely divided along perhaps political lines, party lines, and so on, and it is one that has divided the country. So the question then is, what then makes this person qualified to represent Nigeria abroad? And I think that is really the question that we should ask. I think the flip side of this conversation also centers around this idea that the ambassadors, particularly the non-career appointees, that these positions are pats on the back, or they are a way of saying thank you or well done. But in actual fact, these positions are very sensitive and should entail a lot of work. When you look at foreign ambassadors who come to Nigeria or ambassadors of other countries, you find that there's always they are very busy projecting the image of their country, and they engage in a lot of hard work. Somehow on this side of the Atlantic, we tend to see these positions as, to use a colloquial expression, entering into your permanent site. And that is really wrong, because it does create a difficulty in assessing the work that person has done. Mm-hmm. I do personally, if you were to ask me, I have problems with the appointment of professors and academics to these administrative positions, because I believe that professors and academics should remain in our universities and in the education, which is suffering significantly, but back to Professor Yakub, not to make this about him in particular, I think there are definitely ethical concerns and considerations, and those ethical concerns should be the Senate should, because the Senate, of course, the members of the Senate represent the people of Nigeria, so they should be heard and ventilated through the Senate with regards to the scrutiny and scrutinization of it.
All right. There's one question everyone is also asking, which has got to do with the presence of a name that's on that list. I mean, two names, but let me start with one of them. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, representing Ondo. His name was also there. I mean, legally, this means he's going to abandon ship in the assembly and then move on to this assignment. I want to believe so. Or what does this mean? Does he also have the right to actually reject that nomination and still also remain in the House? So that's one question. I mean, we here may know the answers, but for the benefit of our viewers, it's one of the most frequently asked questions on that list. Another frequently asked question is the case of the legality, especially when it has to do with the international community, of another name that's on that list, which happens to be names of persons who have been invited by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Legality, or better still, legally, what does this mean for these ambassadors when they go to abroad, to the countries where they are assigned to? How will this affect Nigeria, looking at the fact that the one who's coming as an ambassador has a pending legal case with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, maybe at one time, and then he is also representing the country? So these are two questions I want you to take your time to look at them. One, that of Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, and secondly, representing Nigeria with a tainted image and name as well.
Fantastic questions. These questions are very, very complex and very complicated. I'll start with the last one because I think that, for me, represents the more critical concern for the country. And I think the big challenge, and you're very correct, the president in the American presidential system, the president has the power to appoint. So the president holds the power and then delegates his powers to his appointees, as the case may be. Now, the president's appointees are perceived as the moral, ethical, and political surrogates of that president. And so it does behoove on, the president, and on talking about Nigeria now, on the president to ensure that the persons who are appointed or who are nominated, both nominated and appointed to hold positions, are persons who have gone through a very rigorous background check and also are persons of proven integrity. Now, the big challenge with and I think for me, where the metal hits the road is in the, if you may call it, consider it to be the politicization of the undue weaponization of our law enforcement agencies, or of the use of petitions to law enforcement agencies. And if we tell ourselves the truth, I would say that it's clearly something that I'm not happy about it. But you find that it is not uncommon for people to sponsor petitions against persons that they have or that have actual political ambitions, with a view to tarnishing the image of those persons, or with a view to getting them entrenched in the in the criminal justice process, with to sully their image, if I may use that expression. And that for me is a very big concern, because our law enforcement agencies are supposed to be independent and neutral. And it is on that basis that, from an ethical point of view, when you have an independent law enforcement agency, that the moral rectitude to demand that any person who is facing prosecution on corruption grounds or any similar for the commission of any offense, should, on a moral basis, step down from any appointive or nominatory role. But in a situation where any person can file a petition against anyone, and the law enforcement agencies, against the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Law and Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which often requires some sort of scrutiny and investigation before any sort of arrest or charge is made. But what you find today is that arrests are made, sometimes, very grand arrests at the cost of the taxpayer, and then because you arrest persons, prematurely before investigations are taking place, you have to charge these people to court, and if you charge people to court with minimal or almost no evidence, it does create, and then the courts are clogged with so many cases that are not going anywhere. It becomes a problem. And so I think against that background, it is easy for some people to say he still remains innocent. He enjoys the presumption of innocence guaranteed by Section 6 of the Constitution. And unless a court of competent jurisdiction has found such a person to be guilty of an offense, then that person is presumed innocent. That is the legal standard. But in truth, the ethical and the moral standard should be that once a person is facing, any question or about their conduct or their moral standing, then on an ethical basis or the moral basis, that person should step down. But given the propensity of, our criminal justice system to be weaponized, it creates cause for pause. So I would say that to a large extent, from a moral or ethical point of view, yes, people should step down, but then you can file a petition today against any person, and if one is not careful, it may lead to criminal prosecution that may not go anywhere, and that may be the basis for so the process becomes the punishment. Getting the person into the process will suffice to punish that person. So I would say that from a moral or ethical point of view, yes, that should be the case. Any person facing, and it shouldn't just be moral or ethical, concerns relating to cases that have been charged to court. We should also consider moral or ethical concerns that are raised by the public, not have made their way to court. So if somebody, for example, is accused of being the sponsor of terrorism, quote unquote, for example, I don't see any reason why that person should be, with credible evidence, of course, I don't see any reason why that person should be to take up any position unless and until, they manage to clear their name. Now, to the second issue of the president appointing a sitting member of the Senate, as an ambassador or nominating a sitting member of the Senate or sitting member of the legislature as an ambassador, I think this practice is one that is not uncommon, especially if you look at the American presidential system. Again, I'll point you to President Clinton, President Trump, and the immediate past president, President Biden, who made key cabinet appointments, from the United States Senate and the House. So I don't see any challenges there beyond, the political ramifications of these decisions. Because I think it will be essentially a political decision, and I'm intrigued to see what the process will be like in terms of scrutiny.
All right. Okay, Barrister, look, you've broken that down. We're out of time, unfortunately, but thanks for helping us to see the legal aspect in this. I know with days to come, there will be more conversations. I think all eyes are on the National Assembly to see how the checks will be carried out. Maybe the scrutiny will lead to some names being dropped, or, like Nigerians have predicted already, it's just going to be a rubber stamp just like that. But thanks for your time. We look forward to having you.
Thank you, Mr. Aluko. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central as we delve into the conversations even more. Do you want to stay with us? This is Breakfast Central on News Central. Welcome back. It's Breakfast Central. Before we go straight to our very interesting conversation, let's take a look at what the people are saying on socials, especially on YouTube. You can drop a comment or two. Larry Oloyede says, good morning to News Central, breakfast show and all the viewers. Good morning to you. He goes on to say, Nigeria police needs holistic reform. They are most indisciplined force I have ever known. Well, that's his opinion. Ogbonna Charles says, why do we always try to be politically correct whenever we're on TV? Until we start calling evil by its name, we go nowhere. Anyway, another one says, Ali G says, good morning, our wonderful News Central. Please, one stand of tripod. Said tripod is missing. Where's our beautiful Olivia? Olivia's on leave.
That's true. That's true.
Olivia's on leave. And then finally, of course, Mokoye Chukwemeka says, good morning, Team News Central. So good morning to you. Let's now move on to our very interesting conversation. Next, the presidency has come out strongly to defend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's latest ambassadorial nomination, saying, and I quote, the president has the prerogative to choose ambassadors. Senior Special Assistant to President Bola Tinubu on Foreign Affairs and Protocol, Ademola Adeleke, insists that this was standard global practice. He cited examples like Donald Trump and the UK's Peter Mandelson to justify the president's right to appoint trusted allies to key diplomatic positions. But here's the real question. Are these appointments about national interest or political loyalty? And what does this mean for Nigeria's foreign policy credibility? Joining us for the discussion is former Minister of Youth and Sports, as well as human rights activist, Mr. Solomon Dalung, who joins us this morning. Good morning to you, and it's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for smoking me out of my early morning rest.
We had to do that because it's a very pertinent issue that we need to look into. Of course, we need to get the feelers from every single individual who is a Nigerian, and you're one of them. Outspoken and also have been in government. But let's talk about the presidency and the decision. I mean, the presidency says that this is a global norm. So why are people just making noise? Do you agree with the appointing or the appointment of political allies as ambassadors in standard practice? And if so, does this make his current nomination absolute and devoid of any public scrutiny?
I think most of those commenting are missing the point. The president has the prerogative to appoint ambassadors to represent the country. That is not questionable. The president is also free to appoint his political associates to occupy such exalted positions. We don't have a quarrel with that. The fundamental question which is challenging is that those whom the president is going to exercise such constitutional powers are going to represent us Nigerians. They are going to create, sustain, and maintain image of the country. And the citizens ultimately are the beneficiaries. Therefore, the president is duty-bound to ensure that in exercise of such powers, people nominated to represent the country must represent Nigeria. And they must be people of impeccable integrity because they are representing us in foreign land. This is not a domestic issue. This is not local. Therefore, if these people whom the president has chosen are people with questionable characters, then definitely the president would have succeeded in, of course, creating an impression which is, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. So the backlash of this bad decision will fall back on Nigerians and the country entirely. and Nigerians everywhere in the world will live with this bad decision because the image of the country will go down and Nigerians will be treated based on those that had been sent out to represent the country. So that is where we are not comfortable, not challenging the rights of the president.
Okay, now let's, I mean, you've established the fact that it's the president's prerogative to appoint ambassadors, and we've also seen this play out internationally. People have defended this is choice of ambassadors, but according to Ambassador Joe Keshi, who's a former permanent secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, he says a number of career diplomats are not happy with this appointment because some of them might be going into retirement in the next 2 years and the next 12 months and they never got the opportunity to be ambassadors, which is the peak of their career. Having said that, how do you address this fine balancing and delicate act of selecting career ambassadors and also party stalwarts and, you know, your loyalists for the good of the country?
Historically, in Nigerian diplomacy, this is the first time that a president came on board. He was not prepared and withdrew all ambassadors, including career diplomats. The practice has been, the tradition has been, political diplomats will be recalled while career diplomats who have run their career all through will remain. But for the past 2.5 years, Nigeria has no diplomats or envoy anywhere in Nigeria. And that has led to the calamity the country has faced, the citizens have faced, and in so many instances. One of the instances was that a Nigerian traveled to Saudi Arabia. The president was in Saudi that time. He met all the requirements of traveling just for him to be turned back at the airport. And there was nobody, we didn't have a diplomat on the ground to intervene on his behalf to explain his situation. You look at how the Super Eagles in going to play their match in Liberia, and their aircraft was forced to land in a remote airport, and they were compelled to sleep in the airport. Of course, there was nobody on the ground of the status of a diplomat to intervene and save the situation and speak on behalf of the team. And so we have so many of such things. So the diplomatic catastrophe introduced by this administration since it came on board, it has been very huge. And so I'm not surprised that now, when the government has decided to now appoint, it ignored completely, and I think this is not deliberate, but it has to do with the level of ignorance as to how government and their institutions function, because the career diplomats in every cycle of election and change of leadership, there are those who have gone and they will get to the peak of their career, terminating with being appointed ambassadors to serve. And so denying them that opportunity for these 2.5 years and then ending up with populating the entire list with political allies, associates, friends, committee of friends and in-laws, and at the end of the day, denying those who have served the country selflessly since their youth to this point is the definition of injustice anywhere in the world.
All right, we have more questions to ask, especially about the nominees. Very key questions. But let's go on a quick break. We'll ask you to please stay with us. After the break, we'll continue with the conversation. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. Our conversation is looking at the presidential nominees for the role of ambassadors, especially those who have been recently selected. But let's talk to our guest who joins us, Mr. Solomon Dalung, who is also speaking with us here this morning. I wanted us to take a look at some of the names, the individuals in particular, and what this portends for the future. It's different if we have individuals who have not been highly critical, especially with their conduct and their character. I just want to run through some of the videos, and I'd like to get your thoughts with a big question. Is this the best that Nigeria has to present to the world? Let's take a look at just one of them.
Pablo Escobar kind of president. We don't want Nigeria to be reduced to Colombia. We already have enough problems with insecurity. We don't want drug cartels now fighting over. We don't want anybody to make our president vulnerable. These are questions. Yes or no, Bola Tinubu, were you a drug lord? Just yes or no. Thank you for watching. Yes or no.
All right. There are lots of videos, and I'm sure you are aware of one of them. What do you think, based on the question asked before the video?
Well, this is one of the greatest challenges that will confront this list of nomination, ambassadorial nominees. And I've decided to refer to it as the emergence of rock diplomacy. Because if you listen to one of the nominees who had categorically told the world that the president is a drug baron, and he has now been nominated to represent Nigeria. Of course, anywhere you are going to deploy him, the impression globally is that Nigerians are not serious people, Nigerians are not honest people, Nigerians speak from both sides of the mouth. And this is not only going to affect diplomacy, because diplomacy is a network of so many things. It's going to affect economic diplomacy. It's going to affect security diplomacy. It's going to affect trust. And so there is no country that will accept this type of a nominee as an ambassador and will not have the excess baggage to live with. He is even going to be a security threat to that very country, looking at his antecedents and his pedigree. So for the president to even consider nominating him is something that, to me as a person, I'm not surprised, because the president has not made the decision of presenting the best Nigerians to help his government. He has only been operating on the principle of a me loco. It is my time. So it is his turn, and he is just looking for all sort of people, gathering all characters around him to embarrass and even destroy the hard-earned integrity of this country that we have earned in foreign diplomacy over the years. Nigeria is a highly respected diplomatic country. Our diplomacy had produced positive results to global peace and harmony and economic advancement. And this is the first time we are throwing in characters that will go and withdraw from the fixed deposit account of our integrity as a nation.
Now, Comrade Dalung, let's talk about, just referring to your previous comments, others will term it as magnanimity, and that we have a president that has a forgiving spirit, a fatherly figure. That's why he's let bygones be bygones. Don't you think in that direction too?
I commend the president for being magnanimous in forgiving him for all his utterances against him. But the position of ambassador, he is misfitting into it. The president can appoint him to handle anything for him at home. Even if he makes him a minister, this excess baggage cannot be easily, he cannot be relieved of easily. So I think he would have given him another responsibility, haven't pardoned him. Just like when he pardoned Daniel Bola, he appointed him his spokesperson.
Yes.
Daniel Bola is one of the prophets who told us that even if President Tinubu is given 30 years, nothing will change. And being a pastor, which God revealed to him, now he is somersaulted, just like the Bible says when Judas Iscariot committed suicide. And Peter said, as one of us, he has gone the way he's destined. So Obola went the way he's destined. Now he's whining and dining. But he knew as a fact that God revealed to him that even Tinubu is given 30 years, nothing will change, and nothing has actually changed. So he could have accommodated them as one of the attack dogs to help him fight the political front at home, and actively maybe be insulting people here and help him in 2027. But as a diplomat, I mean, we cannot accept our integrity as a nation to be reduced because of magnanimity of the president.
Now, Comrade Dalung, let's look at present-day Nigeria and the challenges we're facing. No country is an island, and we also belong to the Committee of Nations. As a keen follower of geopolitics and international relations, my question to you is, what should be Nigeria's foreign policy thrust as we move forward? Because we're being pulled in different directions. There's China with its Belt and Road Initiative, we have the BRICS, and you also have the Americans. Are we supposed to make a choice, or we can be friends with everybody? Like Nkrumah said, we don't look east nor west. We look and face forward. What should be Nigeria's foreign policy directive under this administration, and looking at our current realities?
Well, obviously, reviewing our current realities, Nigeria as a country should move out of the non-aligned theory and begin to align with developing nations that have taken the diplomatic stand, and they have also reconfigured their foreign policies to advance the cause of their national interests.
Can you give us examples of some of these nations, sir?
Yeah, you look at South Africa. South Africa has taken a definite stand. If you look at countries like Brazil, Brazil has also taken a stand. So Nigeria, which should have led the African countries or the Black world generally into this new foreign policy direction, has been bedeviled by inconsistent foreign policies, both domestic and foreign, and lack of assertive leadership with a defined interest. So today, Nigeria is just like a giant lying dead on the ground without any motion. And this had created, that vacuum created the emergence of countries like South Africa today that are championing and making their voices known and galvanizing the Black world towards a definite foreign policy direction. We can no more sit on the fence. We were sitting on the fence in the past because we had the issue of liberation movement in Southern Africa. We had other challenges in other countries of the world where we had common interests with them. And so we needed to tread cautiously. But now we cannot do that. We must take a definite stand and align, join the BRICS and assert ourselves, join countries, economic associations that will also give us the advantage of trying to redefine our trade, balance of trade, and other important elements of development. So I think we should move out of the non-aligned status.
Okay. Permit me to delve a little bit more to another subject at this moment. I mean, you are a very concerned citizen and you've done a lot in ensuring that you push for either equality or good governance. Just recently, the Minister of Defense overnight extended his resignation. Do you have any thoughts concerning that? And do you think it's going to in any way implicate the situation that we find ourselves in, which is the level of insecurity? And do you think it's in any way associated with that, not being able to meet the demands of securing Nigerians?
Nigerians should try to understand our presidential democracy. The president of Nigeria is the chief executive officer of Nigeria. He is the head of state of Nigeria and is the commander-in-chief of Nigeria. So he had these multiple responsibilities, all bequeathed in one person. Unlike other democracies or parliamentary democracies where you have the head of state distinctively, and then you have the prime minister who is the head of the government, and other command responsibilities located elsewhere. So the resignation of the Minister of Defense will not change anything. The appointment of the new Minister of Defense will not change anything, except if the Commander-in-Chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is determined to exercise the political will of dealing with this insecurity. I give Nigerians a good example. When Boko Haram was Nigerian Taliban and they were located in Yobe Mountains, sometimes in 2004, they annexed 2 local governments in Yobe. President Obasanjo gave the chief of army staff 72 hours to flush them, or please bring back to him his uniform. And that was achieved. Again, in 2000, when Kaduna erupted into volatile violence, killings, mass killings were going on. The then governor of Kaduna, Ahmed McCarthy, called President Obasanjo and requested that he should put the military at his command to deal with the situation. It was through a phone call. Obasanjo graciously donated the powers of the commander-in-chief to Governor McCarthy, and McCarthy brought under control the escalating violence. And I did remember when Obasanjo went to Kaduna, he said, and I quote, that the bombs used in the 3 days crisis in Kaduna were more than the bombs used in 3 years during the Civil War. So this is what we refer to as political will. So you can change the ministers, bring retired military officers. If the political will to deal with the situation is not there, it is going to achieve nothing. The issue of equipping the military with modern equipment. The military today is not about size, it's about the quality of warfare. The weapons. The challenges we are undergoing, I need to remember, if I'm not wrong, before we came in, Jonathan brought in mercenaries, and there were only 30 with sophisticated equipment and drones. And they reclaimed the 24 local governments that were under the control of the Boko Haram in Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. So it's not about change of guard. Is the president determined to deal with the situation? Once he made up his mind, even if he appoints an Almajiri as a minister of defense, things will change.
Now, Comrade Dalung, just before we begin to wrap up this conversation, back to the conversation on the ambassadors. This 32-man list that has been sent to the National Assembly, they will go into committee and scrutinize them more than you and I. So they have a deep insight into the personality, who these people are, if they're likely going to represent Nigeria's best interest in their foreign deployment assignment in the portfolios they will be assigned to the countries. My question to you is, what are your expectations from the National Assembly? Is this a foregone conclusion, or you expect some of the, are you expecting that list to be adjusted or pruned following scrutiny by the 10th Senate?
I'm just going to be very prophetic. It's a concluded, it's a done deal. And maybe the president may also have some supplementary lists to make. And people like Bello Turji, Abba Musa, Musab al-Barnali, this terrorist kingpin may also make the list. And Bello Turji may end up becoming Nigerian's envoy to Afghanistan. Professor Mahmoud may be deployed to the Vatican to help tutor how they will rig a conclave of appointment of popes. So I don't see anything happening different. Rather, I expect more names of men of questionable character and integrity to complete the remaining district. And at the end of the day, we will have Nigerian, we will now have the Nigerian foreign mission, we will refer globally as rock diplomacy, because we'll have people of low character, lack of integrity, and Nigeria will be a laughing stock. I will not be surprised if one of the terrorist financiers will be appointed Nigerian permanent representative to the United Nations. So what Reno said of the president, he has confirmed it. Because Reno said the president is a man of unquestionable, a man of a questionable character. And the president has demonstrated just that. So I don't expect anything different. Rather, we have to live with it and see how we wriggle out of it.
Now, finally, Comrade Dalung, some personal questions here. You served as sports minister for 4 years. You've given your all to this nation. What political party are you currently in, and would you be actively participating in the 2027 elections? Would you be seeking elective office in any capacity?
In my life, generally, I don't put myself in the ring to contest election. I generally respond to pressure from the people, oh, why don't you go in and contest this? That has been my attitude. I am a human rights activist, social justice advocate. That has been what I've been doing. I'm an accidental politician. It is my activities that usually drag me into politics.
Okay. Anyway, I think the network was frozen there, but thank you so much. Okay.
As a stranger into the comfort zone, I always run foul of the rules of the comfort zone. So I don't find it comfortable, even being in politics, because as an activist, we try to maintain the standard of telling people what is right. It's not that we are perfect. But even if we are involved, we do admit that we are involved. Just like I said, Buhari's government, which I served, failed Nigerians because that was not what we campaigned for. So 2027, we are working very hard to see that Nigerians are mobilized to understand the need for good leadership that will ultimately lead us to good governance. So I've been in the coalition, and the coalition is building up, is coming up. So we see how
all right, Comrade Solomon Dalung. Anyway, unfortunately, we are out of time, but I think we've gotten your point. You're part of the coalition, and we'll see how that unfolds. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us concerning the ambassadorial nominees and also the way forward. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure having you, and goodbye, Nigerians.
All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring to you more stories here on Breakfast Central. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has officially quit the People's Democratic Party, raising questions about his plans for the 2026 governorship elections. Adeleke's spokesperson Olawale Rashid confirmed Monday that the governor resigned effective November 4th, 2025, citing the ongoing turmoil within the People's Democratic Party's national leadership, while Adeleke has not revealed which party he will join next. Reports indicate he attempted to move to the All Progressive Congress, APC, with backing from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a move allegedly blocked by local APC stakeholders in Osun State.
The governor is expected to contest for a second term in the August 2026 election, likely under a new party banner. Adeleke's exit adds to a growing trend of PDP governors leaving the party, including their counterparts in Delta, Akwa Ibom, and Enugu states. Well, we do have, speaking with our special assistant to the governor, Governor Ademola Adeleke, on legal matters, Mr. Nuruddin Karim joins us this morning. Thank you for being here. Can you quickly confirm to us and to Nigerians, so we can stop the spread of false stories, that the governor has left the PDP and is on his way to the APC?
Yeah, good morning. I'm pleased to join you this morning. I can confirm to you that His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke, has officially left the People's Democratic Party. The resignation took effect as at the 4th day of November 2025. So I can confirm to you now that Governor Ademola Adeleke has quit the People's Democratic Party. I can confirm to you.
Can you also confirm to us that he is moving to the APC?
I cannot confirm that. I cannot confirm that. And I don't even see the likelihood of His Excellency moving to the APC. It is just a rumor. Though since the governor resigned his membership from the People's Democratic Party, different parties have been approaching His Excellency, and they have even been promising him waiver to ensure he pursues his re-election bid on their platform. But as at now, His Excellency is still considering the options before him and has not taken the decision to join any particular party. And I believe very soon His Excellency will reveal the platform upon which he wants to pursue his re-election bid. So I can confirm to you, His Excellency is not planning to join the APC. It's a rumor.
But Honorable Karim, could you also confirm, because what you called a rumor, we also heard in the grapevine that your principal attempted to join the APC through the presidency, and he informed Mr. President, but this was blocked by APC stalwarts in Osun State who rejected his his entreaties into the APC. Can you confirm if this is true or if this happened?
Well, I cannot confirm that that is true. I cannot confirm that. You know, His Excellency is close to the president. Yes. So maybe some people misconstrued that to mean that Governor Ademola Adeleke wanted to defect to the APC at that time. What I can tell you about that is that it is a rumor and it remains a rumor that His Excellency wanted to defect to the APC. What I can tell you about that is that it is a rumor and it remains a rumor. I cannot confirm that to you. It is a rumor.
Okay. All right. So it being a rumor, so we can actually just agree that he's left the PDP. Where he's going to is unknown, right? Can we close that chapter?
Well, I cannot, as with you, the governor has not declared the platform upon which he intends to contest for his re-election. So I cannot confirm to you now that this is the particular party
Mr. Karim,
that Governor Ademola Adeleke has chosen.
Mr. Karim, can we also look at the fact that, I mean, wherever the governor wants to go, he has the right. I mean, he's a governor. But of course, the people have followed through with the mandate that was granted because he actually ran under the party, the PDP. So the people had put their trust on him, looking at the fact that he was of the PDP and now is moving. But can you confirm to us that all members of his cabinet or his party are equally moving with him? Or is it just the governor and yourself? Have you also moved, if I may ask?
I have not moved. His Excellency has moved. I can confirm that one to you. Myself or any other aide of the governor, I cannot confirm. But something is sure. I can tell you one thing. I can confirm something to you. Any platform, any party that His Excellency chooses to go, having left the PDP, not only the appointees, not only the aides to the governor, the Osun people are ready. They have made that one known very clearly that any party Governor Adeleke moves to, the people of Osun State are ready to follow him there. I can confirm that to you. And you must have heard this on several occasions where people of Osun State have expressed their readiness to follow Mr. Governor to any party he chooses. And as of now, I can tell you, I've said it before, many parties are approaching Mr. Governor. But as I speak to you, Mr. Governor has not declared the particular party he is going to.
Mr.
I can assure you, any party Mr. Governor goes to, the people of Osun State are ready to follow him.
Okay, Mr. Karim, just before I allow...
What the people of Osun State want is to see Governor Ademola Adeleke on the ballot, or to see the party he moves to on the ballot paper. That is what...
Okay, so in other words...
That's what they are looking for. That's what they are...
Okay, so you've confirmed to us with that final statement that the governor is running and is contesting for election, for re-election. All right, that's in 2026. That's a confirmation.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
There's no doubt about that.
Okay.
There's no doubt. Nothing stops his re-election bill.
Okay.
It's moving on with his re-election bill.
Okay. Not to preempt you, but of course, as a journalist that we are following this story, we're seeing a trend which is leading to possibly a projection. Before this announcement, you said he had resigned from the PDP November 4th, if I'm right. November 4, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's quite a long time. That's quite a long time. So, like I said, not to preempt, but of course, maybe we can be politically correct, even though we're not politicians. Can we rightly say that this defection or this move, permit me not to use the word defection, this move of leaving the PDP stems from the fact that there was a little rift between the APC and the governor concerning the local government allocations, because it seems like that situation has not been handled well. And maybe this move would allow the allocations to eventually be settled. Is the governor under any pressure, and will this make him eventually join the APC so that everything will be settled? Is there pressure?
Well, I can confirm to you that there is no any nexus between the governor moving from the PDP and the local government imbroglio in the state. There's no any nexus between the two. What I can confirm to you is that what informed Mr. Governor moving from the PDP has to do with the internalizing crisis, the internal crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party. That's the only reason. It does not have anything to do with. No,
Okay.
I've earlier said, His Excellency is not the claim that Governor Ademola Adeleke is going to the APC is a rumor.
No,
It's a rumor.
yes, Honorable
The government went to the
Nuruddin,
APC.
just before we...
So it does not have
Yes.
anything to do with the local government issue
Just
between the
before,
Osun State and the federal government. It does not have anything to do with that.
okay. Just
And
before
there's
we
no any
wrap up...
expectation that
Thank you.
there's no any expectation that the governor moving from the PDP to any party is what will bring solution to the imbroglio at the local government level in the state. There's no any I don't see any nexus between the governor
Honorable
moving
Karim,
and the issue.
just before we wrap up this conversation, you said there's no nexus, there's no connection. Some
That's
analysts have said resigning less than 30 days into 2026, when you know you'll have gubernatorial elections, could be termed as political suicide. Because at what point would you rally your base and make them align with your new political party that you eventually choose? They've also said, they've also questioned if the lack of allocations to the local government, which the money could have spurred more development and projects for these local communities, would affect his chances at the polls next year. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, as far as the re-election bid of Governor Ademola Adeleke is concerned, if Governor Ademola moves to a new party a day before the timeline set by the INEC for the submission of the nomination of the candidate by parties, I can tell you the people of Osun State, the electorates in Osun State, are fully behind Governor Ademola Adeleke. I understand the point. I understand your point that the shortness of Mr. Governor moving to another party, whether the people you have a lot of work to do to get his people. The people are suddenly behind Governor Ademola Adeleke. All people are waiting for is to see that Governor Ademola Adeleke moves to a party and that party nominates him as its gubernatorial candidate. That is it. Whether the issue, the issue of local government has not just started. It has started since February this year. The governor has been named to ensure things are moving well. The governor has continued to maintain his popularity, to maintain the law the people of Osun State have for him. The governor has not lost grip of the people of his state, despite the season of local government funds by the federal government. So I would not like to say much about local government because the matter is still pending. The matter is still sorted out before the Supreme Court. But I can tell you, the fact that local government funds have been seized since February will not have anything to do with the chances of Governor Ademola Adeleke. In fact, I want to tell you, the seizure of the funds has been a factor that has given what I would call public sympathy to His Excellency, because the people of Osun State wonder that how Governor Adeleke have continued to keep things going Despite the decision of local government funds, I can confirm to you, local government workers from that February have continued to receive their salaries because Governor Adeleke prioritizes the welfare of the workers in the state. Teachers whose salaries are paid from the local government funds, they have continued to receive their salary as I went due since February that the federal government has seized the funds. So the season of the funds, I can tell you, that has become a factor that has even endeared Governor Adeleke to the people. It has created public sympathy from Governor Ademola Adeleke from the electorate in the state. Because the electorate in the state equally understand that the rationale, the motive behind the season of the government funds is to destabilize the governance of Governor Ademola Adeleke. But the people of Osun State who determine who to have the mandate to rule them are strongly behind him. So any party Mr. Governor moves to now, the people of Osun State, the electorate, they are ready, fully ready to go with him, to vote him.
Okay.
So the issue of the election bill,
all right,
is there is no concern. There is no concern at all. There is no concern. I can confirm that to you. There is no concern.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Nuruddin, for speaking with us. We look forward to an update, and maybe we would get the prediction right, or maybe we wouldn't get it right. But then again, thanks for clearing the air so that Nigerians can get to know what the true situation really is. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll continue Breakfast Central. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Aborowa. Nigeria's defense minister has stepped down, according to a statement from the presidency on Monday, amid intensifying security concerns and a surge in mass kidnappings across the country. Mohammed Badaru Abubakar's resignation comes just days after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a nationwide security emergency in response to a series of large-scale abductions, many involving school children. Hundreds were taken within a matter of days last month, deepening anxiety nationwide. Presidential spokesperson Bayo Onanuga confirmed that Abubakar is leaving office with immediate effect, citing health reasons for his departure. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, has long grappled with insecurity, but the recent escalation in kidnapping has placed extraordinary pressure on the government security apparatus. And on to security matters. The Northern States Governors Forum and the Northern Traditional Rulers Council warn that the region may lose its future to escalating terrorism and deepening poverty unless there is urgent constitutional changes. The leaders gave the warning on Monday at an emergency joint meeting held at the Sir Kashim Ibrahim House in Kaduna, the high-level parley, which convened the 19 governors, the traditional rulers led by the Sultan of Sokoto, His Majesty Saad Abubakar, and security chiefs, was described as a definitive push to harmonize responses to the banditry and social decay bedeviling the region. The chairman of the Governors Forum, Inua Yahya, painted a sobering picture of the current state of the North, noting that the region is currently battling a grim reality of insecurity and poverty that threatens to destroy its social fabric. The Federal Capital Territory Police Command says that it has neutralized 3 bandits while some members of the gang have escaped with gunshot wounds following attempts to attack communities within the capital on or before December 1st, 2025. In a statement released by the command's public relations officer, Josephine Ade, she says that the success followed credible intelligence and a coordinated tactical operation by the anti-kidnapping unit, which also led to the arrest of one Sani Muhammad Umar, also known as Boko, on the 30th of November. He reportedly guided operatives to the hideout where his gang members were waiting to launch their next planned attack. Ade added that 3 AK-47 rifles, 3 magazines, and 33 rounds of 7.62 millimeter live ammunition were recovered, saying that the suspect have confessed to being responsible for several major kidnapping incidents within the city. The Delta State Police Command has convened a high-level stakeholder peace meeting, involving operatives of Okwama, Okoloba, and Akugbene communities of both Ughelli South and Bomadi local government areas of the state to address emerging tensions arising from boundary disputes, fishing rights, and other related disagreements. The meeting, at the instance of the State Commissioner of Police, Olufemi Abaniwanda, on Monday, brought together community leaders, youth representatives, security stakeholders, and traditional authorities aimed at preventing conflict and restoring lasting peace. Abaniwanda described the meeting as a proactive initiative designed to listen to all concerns, mediate fairly, and reinforce the commitment to peaceful coexistence. The CP warned that any attempt to breach the peace of the state or resort to self-help measures would attract firm and decisive police action. The news continues in South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has dismissed allegations by the United States that its government is killing white citizens, describing the claims as blatant misinformation. The accusation stems from repeated statements by United States President Donald Trump, who has revived false claims of a so-called white genocide targeting Afrikaners, the minority population of European descent in South Africa. Tensions escalated after the U.S. boycotted last weekend's G20 summit in Johannesburg, followed by President Trump's announcements that South Africa would not be invited to the next G20 meeting scheduled to hold at a family-owned golf resort in Miami. In a televised address, Ramaphosa said the United States justification for its non-participation was rooted in baseless allegations of genocide and forced confiscation of white-owned land, which he insisted have no factual grounding. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. Breakfast Central continues shortly. I am Benga Aboroa.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the front pages of the papers right now as we discuss with our in-house guest who's here with us. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, who joins us live this morning on Breakfast Central's front pages. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, Joe. My pleasure once again.
Good morning, Mr. Amechi.
I can tell
quite a lot has happened since the last time you were here. We're going to just get straight into it because there's so much to unpack.
A lot. Enjoyment, relaxation is what Mr. Amechi
America looks good on you, Mr.
Yes,
Amechi.
sir. Yes, sir.
Are you sure you won't reconsider your decision to come back?
No.
There's no place like home.
No place like home.
Okay.
Anyway, let's start off first with our very first paper this morning. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Just call the number you'd find there on the screen and we'll like to hear your thoughts. You have just 1 minute to share your thoughts. Let's go first with the Daily Independent. That will be our very first newspaper this morning on Breakfast Central. Daily Independent has it. A Greek ICT financial services boosts Nigerian economy in Q3. That's agriculture, ICT, and also financial services boosts Nigerian economy in Q3. That's what we are hearing. Millions of Nigerian drivers at risk due to fairly used tires. Binga, this is scary because just yesterday I had to change 2 of my tires.
I don't think it's
an arm and a leg.
Okay, I mean, two things can be right at the same time. The tires and the roads. And I want to appeal to Lagos State government, please fix the potholes.
I was
deplorable. I was trying to avoid a pothole yesterday and I hit the culvert. I have to do some paint job on my car that I did not plan for. That money could have gone into purchase of Cerelac for my baby that is at home. So please, Lagos State government, I appeal to you to do something about the state of the road.
Defense Minister Badaro resigns. That's on page 2. It's one of the biggest stories. US, France, UK provided support to Nigeria, according to Ribadu, he says, and visits Kotangora over abduction of pupils. In that visit, he said the girls are doing okay, even though they are in captivity. Nigerians are asking, what do you mean by the girls are doing well when they are in captivity?
They are monitoring them via drone technology.
Let's come to Mr. Kichuku. Let's hear his analysis. I don't know about the drone, if they told you that is the drone they're using. Let's start off first with Defense Minister. Everything on insecurity, terrorism, insecurity. Defense Minister resigned.
The support from the UK.
And so on, support from UK, and then, of course, the statement made.
Well, the resignation of former governor of Jigawa State, Badaru, yesterday as the Minister of Defense did not come to me as a surprise. I think if there has been a surprise there all this time, it is what was he actually doing as the Minister of Defense. His and that of the Minister of State for Defense, Matawale, the former governor of Zamfara State, if you ask me, some of those square pegs in Tinubu's round hole when it came to appointment of ministers over 2 years ago, there is no way Alhaji Badaru could have been an effective Minister of Defense. I don't know the criteria Mr. President used in appointing them in the first place. But assuming he thought because they are from that part of the country where insecurity was and still remains rife, and therefore, and also having been former governors in those states, in 2 of those states, that they may be able to have a handle on issues of security. But the question to have asked is that even when they were governors, how well did they handle security in their states? Matawale, for instance, is a known bandit appeaser. He prefers going out there to negotiate with them rather than using the force of arms, the kinetic means to subdue them. So if we go by what has been achieved in the last 2 years under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when it comes to security, then it goes without saying that Badaru, as Minister of Defense, and Matawale, as Minister of State for Defense, they have failed. And it didn't come as a surprise that he had to throw in the towel. Of course,
some Nigerians are even asking that it should have come earlier when you remove the service chiefs, just, change the entire security architecture, NSA and the defense ministers. There's also a question about the functions of the substantive Minister of State and the Minister of State, don't they have overlapping functions? Because there are reports that they even had a fallout.
That is all part of the crisis of governance we are experiencing under Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And this is rather unfortunate. You know, during the 2023 campaigns, the mantra was that Tinubu was the chief strategist. He was this, he was that. He's a talent hunter. He's a guy who has the capacity to delegate and to assemble. Of course, if you remember
Chatham House,
when he coined the word teamship, he said that his was going to be a teamship where he will delegate responsibilities. So that was the impression everybody had, that this is a guy who has a talent, who has the capacity for hunting talents, and that when he becomes the president, he will replicate the so-called magic he did in Lagos State by assembling the best hands. But we have seen so far that he's not been able to do that. Look at even the ministerial, the ambassadorial list that just now came out, and people are scratching their heads and asking, what is this about?
After 2 years of waiting.
After 2 years of waiting. So, like you said, Benga, of course, I said it earlier, that the surprise is that the resignation is coming this late. The guy had no business being the defense minister in the first place. Because, look, we were going to...
Mr. Mechi, please hold your thoughts for a second. We have a call from Godwin Koinos from Ikorodu. Hello, good morning, Godwin. Go ahead and share your thoughts with us.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I think I'm surprised to your position as regarding the resignation of the Minister of Defense. Under his regime, we've had very serious insecurity challenges, and there was no sign of solution in sight. So I believe that his resigning from this government is long overdue anyways. I also expect his Minister for State Defense to also follow suit. I equally expect that the government, if we have to take them seriously regarding the fight against terrorism, they should endeavor to see that the likes of Gumi that have been preaching hate speech should also be questioned according to the law. Nobody should be bigger than the law. I also expect the president to personally supervise what happens in the Ministry of Defense. Because recently we also had in the news that just before the KB kidnapping case, military were withdrawn from that school. Who was the person that gave that order for the military to withdraw from that school? These are the kind difficult questions the president should ask and make it public, and then bring that person to book. Then we'll begin to take the president seriously, and then the nation will begin to know peace. A lot of other things that needs to be done anyway. But I feel that also that the Office of the National Security Advisor should go to somebody from the Middle Belt or from the Southwest or from the South-South, who has the interest of all religion at heart, not where it is currently. Because we understand that this fight should be taken, because most of the security operatives, the top hierarchy is in the Fulani hands, as you can see. I'm not even as a person, but I felt that that sensitive office should be taken to maybe the Southwest, where the president comes from, so that the person who holds that office will have the interest of the president and the country at heart. I might be wrong, but I just felt that that office should be where, because it's a sensitive office. Thank you. That is my contribution.
Thank you. I mean, does ethnicity really matter, or competence in appointment? He raised pertinent issues. Now, since we're talking about competence, oftentimes people feel the defense portfolio should go to people that have security experience. You look at the United States, for example, the current Secretary of Defense is a veteran, and the last Secretary of Defense was also a veteran. And you also look at the position of National Security Advisor. But others would argue that the hood does not make the monk. Looking at the present realities with regards to security, Joe and I discussed this earlier. Joe is very certain that the immediate past CDS, CG Musa, would likely be the replacement for Mr. Badaru. Are you of the opinion, because he was spotted at the villa yesterday? Maybe you went for an early Christmas visit. Who knows? But as a veteran journalist, can we put 2 and 2 together? Do you agree with Joe that it's likely going to be the next defense minister? And it's always good to put round pegs in round holes.
Well, like you rightly pointed out, he was at the presidential villa yesterday, apparently to have a meeting with Mr. President. Of course, nobody knows what was discussed, but it is also significant that that meeting held on the very day that Badaru resigned. But you were talking about whether a hood does make a decision. In this particular case, when it comes to security issues, I think it is always better to bring in somebody who has experience, somebody who knows what the issues are, to bring his experience, his competence, his expertise to bear on the security issues. So if you take now somebody who has, and again, the issue of respect, how well will service chiefs, people who are military officers, how well do you think they will respect somebody who has not been in command one way or the other as the minister? Yes, this is a democracy, and therefore the military should subject themselves or subordinate themselves to civilian authority. But like you said, it is not for nothing that when it comes to other countries, people who occupy some of these strategic positions, particularly defense, are people who have military background, people who have seen what it means to be a soldier. So the speculation has been rife since yesterday that General Musa may be coming back as the Minister of Defense.
All right.
We have to wait for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to make the
official announcement.
But knowing President Bola Tinubu well, I won't also be surprised if he appoints another
politician,
Reno Mokri, tomorrow as the Minister of Defense.
We're coming there. We're coming to that nominee list. We have a caller, sir. Let's take this call. Hi, Musa. Good morning.
From Sokoto.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Welcome, Musa. Go ahead. Share your contribution.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. So the resignation, people should not see it as something which is not it's long overdue. In fact, it's not just that you have to represent a state because you are a minister. No, you're somebody who has the capacity, who can deliver, who will have the confidence of the citizens. Because actually, since when this insecurity started, people are even thinking, why? Somebody who has the knowledge, who has the capacity, is a military man, at least a military man who knows the terrain, should be appointed to that sensitive position.
Okay.
So I don't see it as something which is a matter which has to be discussed. It's a sensitive matter that can be discussed by the citizens. So what Badaru did is he did it in good faith. I believe he does it in good faith because he knew he cannot perform, and even the military to have their allegiance. They need to have somebody who is a senior, a person who controls them initially, like a defense minister, a former chief of defense. If he happens to be appointed, it will have purpose. A former chief of army can be appointed to serve purpose. But when you appointed a civilian, that sensitive position, it will be difficult for him to have the confidence and the support of the military.
Okay, Musa. Okay.
Succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your call. Let's just move on to the paper. Let's go back to that paper and see another story that I would like to take very quickly, although it has been touched on. Mba launches high-tech drones equipment to boost security. Nigeria grants asylum to Guinea-Bissau opposition candidate after coup. And at the top, PDP national leadership states give conflicting notices on Osun 2026 Guba primary. Maybe that's why the PDP member had to resign as well. Nigeria's oil output edges up, still misses ambitious targets. But in all of this, one of the big stories so far so good has got to do with the ambassadors list. What's your take on that? We didn't even ask. Let's get your take. Fantastic names.
Really fantastic names. Again, that goes back to what I said earlier. That list, more than any other thing, in recent times, has cast a lot of doubt on what people used to think about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Don't forget, just the other day, we had the scandal of the prerogative of Messi, the president, share pardons. And people were asking, how could a president sit down and pardon drug barons, pardon murderers, and all that?
Not one, a huge percentage of it, yeah.
Now, we have, after more than 2 years, you have a list of 32 ambassadorial nominees. If you add the 3 that we announced earlier, the IOK group, we have 35. And all it has generated, rather than confidence, people are asking themselves, is this president for real? How could you do this? Now, you see, you have 17 non-career ambassadors in that list and 15 career ambassadors. We have 109 missions in the world. So what people are saying, why get agitated over a list of 35 people when we have about 70-something still out there outstanding? Look, it is not about whether all of them have been appointed, but they say money shows how the day will be like. How do you populate such a sensitive? Look, even beyond ministers, when it comes to ambassadors, these are people who are going to represent your country. These are the faces of your country in the international community.
At the highest level.
At the highest level.
And what we know about the qualities of a good diplomat, you must have high integrity.
Unblemished record, yeah.
Unblemished record, resourcefulness, and you must have the self-control, the composure, that you must not be somebody who has short fuse, like one of the nominees.
Who
was attacking a journalist colleague of ours.
Said that he has very short fuse, and actually he has very short fuse. So how do you bring in people who are standing trial, some of them, for corruption? How do you bring in people who are known wife beaters into the midst? How do you bring in people who have lied? Because if what one of them said about Mr. President yesterday, and he's coming out today to say, no.
Speaking from both sides of the mouth.
I don't mean those things again. It then means he lied. Ab initio. How do you bring professional liars, professional bootlickers as the face or faces of Nigeria
but
in the international community?
Mr. Amechi, there's hope, but I'll come to that hope before. Let's take this call. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Uche, go ahead and share your thoughts with us, please.
Thank you for having me. The Northern governors met yesterday, and they agreed to, roll out 1 billion, which is 19 billion monthly, to tackle insecurity. I'm pleading with them, let the orientation change. Not, empowering youth with many women marrying, Let the orientation change. Not empowering youth with a wheelbarrow and, shoe shining equipment. Let them focus on education. Let the orientation change. That is my own concern. Otherwise, if you close central bank and the same thing happens, we are going to, achieve nothing. That is my own submission.
Thank you so much, Uche. Uche is spot on. Education, that should be the non-kinetic means, engaging the youths in meaningful activities. But before we went to that call, speaking about the ambassadorial list, I told you, Mr. Amechi, there's hope. We have the parliament, the people's representatives in the Senate who have constitutional oversight functions to check and also raise the alarm on all these issues you've raised. They have deeper insights because they have intelligence report, they have the DSS at their beck and calling, they can scrutinize this list. So are you not hopeful that some of these red flags that you have raised will be flagged in Abuja at the parliament, and some of these questionable characters will be dropped from the list?
I am not with the present leadership of the Senate or the Senate as a body that stands on the mandate of Mr. President. A Senate whose leadership has publicly said that whatever the president brings to the table, they will go by it. I am not. But if they mean well for Nigeria, because this is not about the president, this is about public good. This is about Nigeria as a country. If they mean well for Nigeria, I think it is high time they started playing their oversight roles effectively. That does not, playing your oversight roles effectively does not in any way and shape detract from your support for whoever you want to support. But if the idea is to build a Nigeria that all of us will be proud of, a Nigeria that will be there and function well for all its citizens, then they must begin to query and to question some of the things that the president is doing. Ideally, you're talking about security report, but the same security vetted these people, presumably, before the president made their nominations public. So if the security report did not stop assuming there is any negative security report, if he did not stop the president, how is he going to stop the members of the National Assembly from vetting them? But the bigger problem is even what happens to places they are going to be sent to. Because that you nominate an ambassador does not automatically translate to acceptance
at their posting.
At the place of their posting. I doubt if some of these characters will be able to get the agreement from their places of primary assignment where they will be posted to. And I was speaking with a career ambassador, a friend of mine, the other day. In fact, even before this list was made, the public. And he was telling me that he is afraid if any of the three that were previously nominated, if they will, who we are told will be posted to either US, London, and all this, whether they will be accepted. And I asked why, and he said, look, that it is a policy in Washington and in London not to accept career intelligence officers as ambassadors. That they don't. That it is only London and Paris that accept career intelligence officers as deputies. But that Washington and London, he was very, very specific. Do not accept career intelligence officers, of course, which IOK and another person is or were, and that it will be very, very difficult for Washington and London to accept them. So there are a whole lot of issues. Do you go out of your way to do? And this, the mistake we continue making is that we think that we are an island. Nigeria is an island, isolated, as it were, from the global community. There is none of these characters that the ambassadors of these countries in Nigeria don't know about. They have their stories, they have their histories, and they have everything about them.
But Mr. Amechi, there's been pushback from the presidency, and some observers will also say you're painting the picture of a very idealistic world, that the world has changed. Look at the United States, for example. One of the presidential aides did use the example of the UK ambassador to the United States, who's a friend of President Trump, Peter Mendelsohn, as an example. They also cite cases of Marco Rubio, who said many unprincipled things about Trump. Today is his #1 diplomat across the world as foreign secretary, that Nigeria is not different, that they call it political pragmatism, that you balance appointments with your friends and associates and cronies, that's the new way the world works.
There was no time Rubio called Trump a drug baron. There are red lines you don't cross. If you say somebody is incompetent, that somebody does not know, fine.
Subject to interpretation.
You can criticize, not when you come and say somebody is a drug baron, that somebody is a criminal, that somebody is, in fact, if there was anything worse than being an armed robber in quotes, this same character said so of our president. I feel belittled that a man would go out of his way, particularly when he is now claiming that those things were false. So what motivated you in the first place to have not said it? And how do you trust a character who will whimsically wake up in the morning and label the president of a country in such derogatory languages that even detract from the integrity of the country itself? Because when you claim that a country has elected a drug baron, do you know what that means? So whatever Rubio said about Trump in the past, it wasn't about this, and it was about that the man was incompetent, cannot do this and cannot do that. That is understandable. Even if you say that the man does not have the temperament to be a leader, of course, that could be debated. But when you are so pointed
and
specific in your denigration of somebody, I think it is like comparing apples and...
we put this question to the former sports minister, Mr. Solomon Dalung. I asked him that what about looking at the president's magnanimity and his fatherliness, his spirit of forgiveness? And he said, when it comes, you can forgive him and give him appointments as an attack dog, but not as a representative
the face of Nigeria.
Do you share the same sentiment?
But of course it is true. There are so many ways of compensating people who you think have been able to do your dirty job now for you. Because now for me, the only thing Reno Omokri is bringing to the table is that he has turned himself into an attack dog.
And a spin doctor.
And a spin doctor denigrating Peter Obi. So that is his remit, as it were. Just like it is somebody's remit to make sure that whatever happens, PDP does not rise.
I know that person.
Again. So, and it is for that reason that that person will continue to be in position of authority. So if you want to compensate Reno for the great job of demolition you think he has done on Peter Obi, fine. If you think you want to compensate him for the job he has done in running down every other person, fine. But not to put him in a position where he will be the face of the country in the Committee of
It should be compensated
Nations.
Locally. Okay, let's look at one last paper before we go. We're almost out of time. Let's look at the New Telegraph. It has some very interesting stories there. New Telegraph is what we're going to look at. Amid renewed attacks, Defense Minister Badaru resigns, cites ill health. We've taken that story. The big one, $6 billion Mambila fraud. Obasanjo promises to testify. Witness tells court, we're not just talking, we're acting, Fubara says. Fubara is finally saying that he's not talking anymore. He's now acting. Investigation, why I won't appear before Edo Assembly by Obaseki. These are other big stories. But the big one, economy. Nigeria records 3.9% GDP growth in Q3 2025. Wow, that's a leap. What do you make of that?
The rider is also important.
Yes.
It is a leap.
Public debt hits 152.39 trillion naira in Q2 2025.
Again, that is one of the contradictions of the Tinubu administration. This is a president who told us in September that the target revenue was met in August.
No more borrowing.
Yet we are borrowing every day. Our debt profile is rising. What are you borrowing this money for if you've met your target revenue for the year, 4 months before the time? It doesn't make sense. I don't know what kind of economics is that, but even the so-called growth of 3.9%, if you say financial services, I will agree. Agriculture, which agriculture? How?
People can't go to farms.
How? How do you say that
agricultural exportation has even dropped?
Is driving the growth in the economy? Which agriculture?
As journalists, sorry to but as journalists, looking at that story, can we really say that this is a true
reflection
of
what's going on?
Of a journalist's research work? Agriculture?
Or are we just taking it for the face value of it? Have we reached the era where, okay, government gives you figures, you publish, and you don't scrutinize?
You know, this, I think I said this 2 weeks ago when I was here. This government thrives on propaganda. I would have said outright lies. But let me be charitable enough to say they thrive on propaganda. And this is one of those things. You told us in September you've met your revenue target. Still you are borrowing. Now you're saying our GDP is growing. It is now 3.9%.
Yes.
And you said that the sectors that have contributed, that one of them is agriculture. The same agriculture that everybody is saying that insecurity has driven people out of the farmlands. So who is in this agriculture that we're talking about? What are we producing? How could agriculture be one of the sectors that is driving our GDP growth? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, these are questions that we'll have to ponder on, million-dollar questions, but unfortunately, we're out of time. So many issues to look at, but I would like to say a big thank you to you, Mr. Ikechukwu Amechi, for always gracing us with your presence here.
Thank you very much.
At the newspaper analysis. And that brings the show to an end. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. The series up next. I am Benga Borowa.
And I'm Joe Hansen. Thanking you for watching. We'll be here again tomorrow morning, bright and early. Stay with us. More programs.
And Lagos State Government, please do something about the state of the roads.
The roads,
the Lekki
traffic,
access, yes.
Bad roads. And
bye-bye.
So that you won't use the money.